I got it.
Yeah, you know this
Yeah,
already.
of
You
course.
need to mute it and she's already lost.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
Are we ready? Are we ready? Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, my dear devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Haribol, thank you. So today we're on chapter 7. Srimad Bhagavad Gita and chapter 7, verse number 14. Is that right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, so it says, this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of His energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influences. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord. But due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nityavada, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows. Mayam tu prakritim vidyan, mayinam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya illusion is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Sritasvatara Upanishad 4.10. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound, because the bound cannot help the bound. The rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of illusory energy, can order the insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words Mam Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna or Vishnu only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajaguna, passion, and Tamaguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, Srutasvatara Upanishad 3.8, confirm this in the phrase Tam eva viditva, or freedom. The Vedas, Srutasvatara Upanishad 3.8, confirm this in the phrase Tam eva viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarve sam Vishnu eva na samsaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is a very interesting verse. Let me read it again. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Well, the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. The whole world is controlled by them. And therefore, it is difficult to cross beyond it. However, when a person surrenders completely to Krishna, he or she can easily cross beyond it. That is very good news. We should very carefully think about that. Everybody's controlled by the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Everybody in the world. But now we're hearing a way by which one can free themselves from the influence of goodness, passion, and ignorance. What is the secret? Well, it's not a secret now. Krishna is explaining it. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So therefore, surrender to Krishna with the help of the bona fide spiritual master. Without the help of the bona fide spiritual master, it's going to be very difficult to surrender to Krishna. And by the way, surrender is not a one-time action. One has to surrender every day. It's not that, oh, I surrendered 20 years ago. But now I'm also smoking marijuana. That means you're not surrendered then. So surrender is something you have to do every day. That's real surrender. Just surrendering 20 years ago and then now engaging in nonsense activities, that's not surrender. It might have been 20 years ago, but now the person is not surrendered. But surrender is a daily thing. Every day we have to surrender to the Supreme Personality Godhead. And how do you surrender? By following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness strictly every day. And above that, to develop genuine love and devotion for Krishna. That's the real sign of surrender. So when you do surrender, then you are happily engaged in devotional service, offering everything in your life to Krishna. So it says here, this divine energy of mind, this is the verse, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So, how do we surrender? It's very, very important to have a bona fide spiritual master and strictly follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Then there is proof that one is actually surrendered. And the spiritual master is there to observe the progress of the devotee. And if there's some discrepancy, he points it out. And he helps the devotee overcome those discrepancies. Such as not chanting 16 rounds a day. That should be immediately remedied by a bona fide spiritual master. And there's so many other things also. Therefore, it's very important to have a bona fide spiritual master who actually is responsible for his disciple. So the disciple should regularly be hearing lectures given by bona fide devotees. The disciple should be associating every day with devotees, and if possible, hearing lectures by bona fide devotees, and engaging in devotional service, and also going on Sankirtan. In other words, organizing one's time to make time to be able to do those things. Everybody in the world has at least 3 to 4 hours where they're completely free and not doing anything. Of course, they say, no, I'm very busy, I do this, I do that. But if you look at it, you will have at least 3 or 4 hours a day that are being wasted on the phone or some hobby or just sleeping more, whatever. So everybody has 3 or 4 hours free every day. They might say, no, I don't have that time. But actually, if you look at it carefully, you do. Or at least you have 2 hours every day that is free. That's enough time to chant 16 rounds, 2 hours. So there's no excuse. One time, a devotee told Prabhupada, I have so much service that I don't have time to chant 16 rounds. And Prabhupada said, oh, are you having prasadam every day? He said, yeah, I'm eating prasadam. He said, therefore you have time. He said, if you told me that you didn't have time even to eat, then I could understand that you have some valid excuse. But the fact that you're taking time, you have enough time to eat, means that you have time also to chant your rounds. You can't cheat Prabhupada. He's too sharp. He's seen all excuses. He knows how to know the truth. So therefore, and it's a fact that everybody has 2 or 3, sometimes 4 hours every day where they could dedicate to chanting their rounds. Okay, so this is a wonderful verse. It says, this divine energy of mind, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So, by surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master and following his instructions, one is also surrendered to Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. Krishna is the controller, the creator, the controller, and the supreme authority in Krishna consciousness. And the bona fide spiritual master is the direct, let's say, servant of the Lord. So if we have a bona fide spiritual master, that means we're connected to Krishna. And the bona fide spiritual master will only teach what Krishna teaches, nothing else. So Krishna teaches that we have to chant minimum 16 good rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra every day. We also have to follow the regulated principles of Krishna consciousness, which we promised at the moment of initiation. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and chanting 16 good rounds every day of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Now, what does a spiritual master do? If he's in the vicinity of the disciple, he will make sure that the disciple is following the regulative principles. Or at least he'll appoint another person to make sure the disciple is following the regulative principles. Okay, so a very good takeaway from this verse is the following. The Vedas, Svetasvatara Upanishad 3.8, confirms this in the phrase Tam Eva Viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesam Vishnu Eva Nasamsaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Well, that's it. That means if we surrender to Krishna and hopefully gradually develop love and devotion for the Lord, that is the perfection of our spiritual life. The whole point of spiritual life is to understand who Krishna is, to understand how to serve the Lord, to actually engage in bona fide devotional service, and gradually develop love and devotion for the Lord. That way, at the moment of death, we'll remember the Lord, because our whole life we've been chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Minimum 16 rounds every day. You can chant as many rounds as you want, more than 16, but you have to chant 16 every day. And also hear lectures given by genuine devotees. And also, if you have the time, come to the temple, have darshan of the deities, and also have nice prasadam. Then you're having a regulated, organized life for Krishna consciousness. So our takeaway from this long purport is although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. And this is the verse in the Svatara Upanishad 4.10. Now that's a very interesting verse, because Maheshwara usually is meant for Lord Shiva, but actually Krishna is the supreme Maheshwara, the supreme controller of everything. So Maheshwara can be referred to any extraordinary person who's a controller, but the supreme controller, Mayam tu pakritim vidyan ayinam tu Maheshwaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. And this is the verse, Svatara Upanishad 4.10. Now, most people use the word Maheshwara for Lord Shiva, but the supreme Maheshwara is Krishna, and that's what's being said in this purport. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Okay. So another takeaway, that this is a long purport, so there's several takeaways. Another takeaway is it says, I'm sorry, 1 second. I have to read the Sanskrit verse. It says, Daivihiesa gunamai, mama maya durateya, mam eviye papadyante, mayam etam, tarantite. So, this mam eva is very significant. Mam means unto Krishna only, not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajoguna, that would be passion, or Tamo Guna, that would be ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. That means that Brahma and Shiva are slightly influenced by Rajaguna and Tamaguna. Brahma is slightly influenced by Rajaguna, and Shiva is slightly influenced by Tamaguna. Therefore, they cannot give mukti or liberation, complete liberation from the cycle of birth and death. They might give relative liberation, but not complete liberation. And it says that in the purport. It says, although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajaguna, passion, and Tamaguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. Yeah, that's a fact. One has to be, if you want to become liberated from a conditioned situation, you have to come in contact with a pure devotee who is not influenced by Tamaguna, Rajaguna, or even the
Maharaj.
what's that?
Sattva-guna.
Sattva-guna, right, exactly, thank you. So you have to be free, completely free of the three gunas. Then you have the ability to liberate other people. Therefore, it says, Tam eva viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Padata Sarve Sam Vishnu Eva Nasamsaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Because none of the gunas are controlling Lord Vishnu. On the other hand, he controls the gunas without being influenced by them. That means that he's the Supreme Personality of God. Okay, are there any questions? This divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, I'll ask a question.
Yes.
How do you know if you're free from the three gunas? Is that the material modes?
Yes.
Okay.
Goodness, passion, or ignorance.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll go to text 15. Namam duskritina mutha papadyante naradama maya prata dhyana asuram bhavam asrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me, meaning Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. At this point, a question arises. How is it that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead? That is a very good question. Mukti, or liberation from the laws of material nature, is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways, and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hardworking leaders adopt this simple method? Very important question. The Gita answers this question very frankly. Those really learned leaders of society like Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, the Kumaras, Manu, Vyasa, Devala, Asita, Janaka, Prahlada, Bali, and later on Madhvacharya and Ramanujacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, scientists, etc., surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, or administrators, etc., but who pose themselves as such for material gain, do not accept the plan or path of the Supreme Lord. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempts to solve them. Because material energy, nature, is so powerful, it can resist the unauthorized plans of the atheists and baffle the knowledge of planning commissions. Yeah, there's so many planning commissions. They have 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 20-year plans. And usually they fail. The atheistic plan makers are described here by the word duskritina, or miscreants. Kriti means one who has performed meritorious work. The atheist plan maker is sometimes very intelligent and meritorious also, because any gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because the atheist brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Supreme Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called duskriti, which indicates that his intelligence and efforts are misdirected. In the Gita, it is clearly mentioned that material energy works fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It has no independent authority. It works as the shadow moves in accordance with the movements of the object. But still, material energy is very powerful, and the atheist, due to his godlessness temperament, cannot know how it works, nor can he know the plan of the Supreme Lord. Well, if you talk to most scientists and other people, and you say, God has a plan, and they'll argue with you. No, first of all, we don't believe God exists. And secondly, we don't believe anybody has a plan. We're making plans, but nobody else has made the plans. So they don't accept the fact that God has a plan for the material world. This is a big question, because if God has a plan, then we should follow his plan. But atheists don't believe God exists. So they make their own plans, and they're usually a big failure. Under uh, under illusion and the modes of passion and ignorance, all his plans are baffled, as in the case of Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, whose plans were smashed to dust, although they were both materially learned as scientists, philosophers, administrators, and educators. These Duskritinas, or miscreants, are of four different patterns, as outlined below. One, the Mudas are those who are grossly foolish, like hardworking beasts of burden. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and so do not want to part with them for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The typical example of the beast of burden is the ass, meaning the donkey. This humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass does not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party, meaning the female donkey. Yeah, because to have for the donkey to have sex, he's got to come from behind of the female, but the female often will kick, smash his teeth. Okay, so the ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but his braying sound only disturbs others. This is the position of the foolish, fruited worker who does not know for whom he should work. He does not know that karma or action is meant for yajna, sacrifice. Most often, those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being. To such mudas, or very foolish, ignorant people, material gain, which are destructible, are life's all in all. Despite the fact that the mudas enjoy only a very small fraction of the fruit of labor, sometimes they spend sleepless days and nights for fruited gain, and although they may have ulcers or other indigestion, they are satisfied with practically no food. They are simply absorbed in working hard day and night for the benefit of illusory masters. Ignorant of their real master, the foolish workers waste their valuable time serving mammon. Mammon is a biblical term. It refers to a nonsense person, a sinful nonsense person. Unfortunately, they never surrender to the Supreme Master of all masters, nor do they take time to hear of him from the proper sources. The swine, meaning pigs, who eat the night soil, meaning stool, do not care to accept sweetmeats made of sugar and ghee. Similarly, the foolish worker will untimely continue to hear of the sense enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane world but will have very little time to hear about the eternal living force that moves the material world. Another class of Duskriti or miscreant is called the Naradama, or the lowest of mankind. Naradama means human being, and Adama means the lowest. Out of the 8,400,000 different species of living beings, there are 400,000 human species. Out of these, there are numerous lower forms of human life that are mostly uncivilized. The civilized human beings are those who have regulative principles of social, political, and religious life. Those who are socially and politically developed, but who have no religious principles, must be considered Naradamas, really ignorant people. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of following religious principles is to know the supreme truth and man's relation with him. Yeah, that's a very significant thing that Prabhupada is saying here. There are religions today where they don't accept the existence of God. They just choose some famous person or some other nonsense person, and they worship that person. They don't worship the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of following religious principles is to know the supreme truth, or in other words, who Krishna is, and man's relation with him. In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him and that he is the supreme truth. The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relation with the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is all powerful. Whoever loses this chance is clarified as a Naradama. Yeah, Naradama is someone who is well educated, but he doesn't use his knowledge and time to understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. We get information from revealed scriptures that when the baby is in the mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation, he prays to God for deliverance and promises to worship him alone as soon as it gets out. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is a natural instinct in every living being because he is eternally related with God. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulties of birth and forgets his deliverer also, meaning Krishna, being influenced by Maya, the illusory energy. Okay, I'm going to stop there because this is a very long purport, and we will finish it tomorrow. Are there any questions up to that point? Or any questions anyone would like to ask? Yeah, so a takeaway today is most often those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties. Notice the word self-created duties. Say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being. There's a lot of people like that. I don't have any time, I'm so busy. I gotta take care of my family, work, and I don't even have time to relax, and especially don't have the time to chant Hare Krishna or go to the temple or whatever. So Prabhupada is pointing them out. Most often, those who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties, and that's an ironic statement, self-created duties, say that they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being. To such mudas, meaning low-class people, material gain, which is destructible, are our life's all in all, despite the fact that the mudas enjoy only a very small fraction of the fruit of labor. Okay, that is our takeaway today. You should not become a muda. We'll find out more about mudas tomorrow. Thank you very much, my dear devotees. Unless there's any questions or comments, we'll stop now. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, well, thank you very much. Please chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And don't be a Muda. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Okay. This here.